Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to take you through a full training session that's focused around building your football specific speed, because as a footballer, not only are you moving in linear motions, you're also moving in multi directions around the pitch. So it's very important to train in a way that mirrors the movements you'll be doing in a match. Just before we get warmed up, I want to say a huge thank you to Football Supplements for sponsoring today's video. Football Supplements create football specific supplements for top elite footballers around the world to maximize their performance, enhance their focus and improve their endurance. I've been using Kickoff for a few months now before each of my training sessions, and it's helped me feel more mentally focused so I can engage in the exercises that I'm doing, as well as give me that energy boost so I can maximize the improvements from the session itself. Football supplements were created by some of the leading sports scientists in the world of football and used by some of the top clubs around the world. So if you want to try out Kickoff for yourself, as well as any other products from Football Supplements, I'm going to leave a link in my description, as well as my very own unique code that you can use to get a discount off your entire purchase. Would really recommend them. But anyway, let's get warmed up and into the session. So this is the warm-up I'll typically do before my speed sessions. It starts off very similar to my regular warm-up before every technical session, but you'll notice as this warm-up goes on, I start to incorporate a few exercises you might not have seen before here on the channel, because I'm really focusing on activating the areas around the hip flexors, hamstrings, glutes, abductors and adductors, because these are all involved when you're changing direction, you're sprinting. So if you haven't activated these areas, another part of the body is going to overcompensate for those unactivated areas, and that's how you can get muscle strains. And we certainly want to avoid that in these speed sessions, because that will keep us off the pitch for a long time. So you might have recognized most of the exercises so far in this warm-up, just a general warm-up to begin with at a low intensity, getting some blood flow around the body, oxygen to all those working muscles, and getting those muscles slightly elasticated. And then as we get through these, you'll see that they start to increase in intensity and start to involve some fast twitch muscle fibers. So starting with some knee drives, working on arm pattern movement as well, because it's important to synchronize your arm and knee drives. You want the alternate arm driving with the alternate knee. And as you can see here, starting to get some spring work in as well, activating the Achilles area, getting nice and bouncy. That's really important for sprinting. And as you can see here, lateral bounds, activating those hip flexors, but also springing off the balls of our feet. Very important to warm up the feet as well. As you can see here, just holding for a second as I land, really activating the muscles around the knees. Then here we go again, another skipping exercise, bit of coordination needed for this one, driving the knees to activate those hip flexors, and then bounding on the opposite foot. Then here's a few extra exercises I'll throw in, so really warming up the calves, getting them nice and activated. Then this is the world's greatest stretch. Important to work on some mobility. When you're changing direction, there is a bit of twisting involved, so you want to make sure your body is prepared to deal with these. This is a fantastic stretch. You're getting so many different areas in one action. Would fully recommend it. Now I'm activating the glutes and hamstrings, so get some glute bridges in there. Your glutes are really important for reaching top speed, so you want to make sure they're activated. So I do a few double leg ones, and then move into some single leg ones also. Really important to get each side of the body activated, because you're bounding on one leg at a time when you're sprinting. Then you can see here, quick accelerations to deceleration, so I'm stopping on the line. Really important to not only be good at accelerating, but decelerating. Then finally, I lengthen out my stride a little bit, almost at top speed at this point, probably 85 to 90%, but just working on pushing that ground away, driving the knees, driving the arms, so I'm activated and ready to go. So now that we're thoroughly warmed up, we're going to move into some fast footwork exercises. These are great for switching on those fast twitch muscle fibers, which are going to make you a lot more twitchy off the mark. If you can move your feet quickly and you have more explosivity in those fast twitch muscle fibers, again, we're recruiting as many muscle fibers in the body as possible so that we can move more explosively. But they're also really important to build coordination. The more coordinated you are with your feet, the quicker you're going to be able to set your footwork. Say you were moving in one direction, then you quickly have to move in the other direction. If you don't have good footwork, you're going to be slower off the mark, which could be the difference between getting to the ball first or not. So I'm going to show you 5 exercises to really get those fast twitch muscle fibers switched on and get coordinated in different angles. So let's move into these. So this is the first of the 5 fast footwork exercises. So we're driving forwards and backwards, 2 feet in the middle of the 2 cones, 2 feet beyond the second cone, and then we're working backwards. As you can see, driving my arms at the same time, really important. You don't want to be doing these fast footwork exercises without using your arms. I'll go through 10 repetitions of each one, and then I go into my second one after about a 30-second rest. So working on some lateral movements, very similar, getting 2 feet in the middle, 2 feet on the outside of the second cone, and back to the start. And once again, we're going to do 10 repetitions of these, making sure we're driving those arms in synchronization with our foot movements. Then we're kind of going in and out, so working at an angle, again, driving those arms, working on that rapid arm driving action. This is going to help you move your feet quicker because your body works in synchronization. Again, we're doing 10 repetitions in total. Then we're doing a similar action, but this time facing the cones. So it's working more on slightly lateral movement here at a diagonal angle. It's really important to move those feet quickly. This is going to help you change direction, so remain on the balls of your feet, stay light on your toes, and again, using those arms for balance. But again, we're going to go through 10 repetitions of this exercise, and then we go into the final exercise. We're working laterally again, but just adding an explosive lateral bound at the end. So we're going to do 5 on one side, and then 5 on the other. Really important when you're activating the body to get an equal amount of reps on both sides. You don't want one side of the body to be more activated than the other, because as we already mentioned, if parts of your body aren't activated, another part of the body will overcompensate, and that's how you can get injuries. So making sure you're balanced, efficient, and ready to get into the first exercise. So moving into an acceleration drill here, I've placed down 3 gates. These first 2 gates are 2 steps apart and 3 steps away from each other. And then we have a third gate that's 10 steps away from this second gate. So we're going to be starting in this box here, working on a few different movements, then accelerating through that third and final gate. Because in a match, not only are you going to be having to accelerate from a forward position, but sometimes you're going to be moving in one direction, having to change direction really quickly. If you're a defender and you're jockeying an attacker, sometimes you might have to quickly turn your hips and accelerate if they knock the ball past you. So we're going to be mirroring those different movements here. And as you can see, the distance is quite short, only about 10 to 15 yards or so, because in a match, you'll notice a lot of the races in football are over short distances. So although it's really important to have a good top speed, and there are times in a match where you might have to run the full length of the pitch and outpace someone, it's also really important to master that acceleration phase, because it's over those first few steps that usually the race to the ball is decided who gets there first or not. So having good footwork, good acceleration is really going to help you over those short distances. So for the first of the 5 acceleration drills, we're working laterally, starting with our momentum. So we're side shuffling to the second gate, and once we reach it, we turn our hips and accelerate up to the third gate. So this could reenact when you're jockeying a player on the sideline and they push the ball beyond you, so you have to get up into an acceleration as quickly as you can. So again, working with our momentum, we're walking back to the start between each rep, and then we're swapping sides with each repetition as well. We're going to do 2 reps of each of the exercises that I show you. For the second one, we're working against our momentum, so we start at the second gate, side shuffle to the first, and then it's a change of direction to accelerate up to the starting point. Sometimes you'll need to change direction quickly during a match, so it's important to work on this in your training sessions as well. Then it's a walk back to the start, and we do the opposite side. Really important to walk between reps. We don't want to have the heart rate too high for the next repetition. We want to get a bit of a recovery in, so that walking will allow you to get that heart rate down so you can attack each repetition at maximum intensity. Moving into the third exercise here, as you can see, we're working with our momentum a little bit. So it's almost like you have a player dribbling at you. They've knocked the ball past you. You have to turn 180 degrees and accelerate. So quick turn of the hips, plant your feet, and then drive up to the third gate there. For the fourth exercise, we're working against our momentum. So we start the second gate, accelerate to the first gate, and then we're turning our hips a full 180 degrees. This is when you've tried to close a player down, they've jabbed the ball past you, and now you have to recover. Really important to work against your body's momentum so that you can get it back in balance as quickly as you can, so that you can get up to your top speed and recover. Moving into the final exercise here, we're working with our momentum. So it's just a little bit of a jog up to the second gate, and then we're really opening up our stride on this one. As you can see, I've accelerated far past that third gate, and now I'm driving my knees, starting to lift my chest, starting to get into more of a full sprint. So up until this point, we've really worked mainly on acceleration, keeping the chest low, making aggressive cuts on the grass, driving it away, and now we're just opening up to top speed. This next exercise involves a change of direction while we're already accelerating. So we worked on moving from different angles, different body positions to accelerate. Now we're actually going to change our direction mid-run. So we've got 2 cones placed down here, 2 steps apart, a diagonal cone, 7 steps from this cone here, another gate, 14 steps across, and then we have another one on the opposite side. We're going to be starting on one side of these 2 cones. We're going to alternate with each repetition. So we're starting here, shuffle across. So we're working against our body weight. We've already got some momentum, having to load up this leg and then explode in the opposite direction. So working on moving out of an awkward angle, setting those feet. And then we're accelerating up, and then we're getting around this cone and accelerating through the opposite gate. So this is really important for attackers. If you're making those off the ball movements and you want to bait a defender, you might start running this way to lead the defender, and then you would quickly accelerate in the opposite direction to lose them. Then if you get really tricky, you can start to bait, fake and then fake again, and go in the opposite direction once again. So we're working against our balance, making sure we're loading up the leg, accelerating quickly, setting that footwork and getting around the cones tight, accelerating through the gate on the opposite side. And we're going to go through 6 repetitions, alternating each side with every rep. So here's an example. We're starting on the left side of the cones, side shuffle, planting those feet, getting balance of the body, and then we're accelerating up to that diagonal cone, getting around it, trying not to slow down too much, but planting our feet, changing our angle and accelerating through that far gate. Then we do the exact same thing on the way back. Then between each repetition, we're resting for 30 seconds, and then we're going to do the opposite way. So as you can see, starting on the right-hand side cone, shift across, and then it's up to the right-hand side cone, getting around it and through the gate. Then we're going to do the exact same thing on the way back. We want to get an equal amount of repetitions on both sides. So for the final rep, because we're only doing 6, you'll see that I alternate with each of these repetitions. So starting on that left side cone to begin with, then once I make it through the far gate, turn around, and this time I'm starting on the right-hand side and accelerating through the opposite side. Moving into the final exercise, we've got a circuit of hill sprints. Hill sprints are one of the best ways to improve your explosive speed without any equipment. So we've got a few gates here, 4 in total, including the starting gate, and each gate is 10 steps apart, getting higher and higher. With hill sprints, it really forces you to use correct mechanics as well. So you're going to see a huge improvements in your acceleration, in your top speed, just by using your arms to drive and also lifting your knees even higher. So you'll see here with each increment, it's going to be a slightly different running technique. Over the first couple, it's more about that acceleration phase, driving the arms, being really aggressive. Then as we get higher and higher, we're trying to lengthen that stride. Acceleration is really important to stay low, chest forward, quick steps, being as aggressive as possible to push that ground away. And then when you get to your top speed, it almost looks like you're gliding. Looks a bit more effortless, even though you're using an incredible amount of effort, but you'll see the stride length increases, your chest comes up, so you can cover more ground with each step. So I'm gonna go through each increment. The first one, walk to the beginning. Second, walk to the beginning, all the way to the top, walk down, recover for about a minute. Then I'm gonna repeat this circuit 3 times. So going straight into my first round of hill sprints, as you can see, it's an acceleration up to that first gate, and then we're walking back down to the bottom. With that first acceleration, you'll see it's very quick feet, but not much knee driving, because we're just trying to build acceleration over a short distance. But now as we start to increase the distance, you'll start to see my knees driving a little bit more. My chest gets slightly more upright, almost mimicking the kind of body position you'll have when you're reaching your top speed. So with each increment, you'll be able to lengthen your stride a little bit more, really drive that ground away, and you'll start to feel the lactic acid burning, especially when you get to this 3rd rep of each round. It's very intense. But then you get a walk down to the bottom, and once you reach the starting gate, you get a full minute rest to bring that heart rate down to prepare for the next round. So here's the second round here. So as you can see, short steps on the first one, really just trying to claw that ground away and work on my acceleration. And then with the second one, I'm starting to lengthen my stride, drive the knees a bit more, really pushing my arms as well, trying to keep them in synchronization with my leg actions. This is going to help you drive and be more powerful with each step. And then with the third one, you can really open up your stride. The lactic acid will definitely be burning at this point, but make sure you're attacking each repetition at 100% intensity. That's the only way you're going to start to increase your explosive speed. So that's the second round complete. Then once again, walk down to the bottom, and it's a full 1 minute recovery to bring down that heart rate. So here's the last round, accelerating up to that first gate, definitely tired by now, but these hill sprints are going to be an absolute game changer for not only your top speed, but also your acceleration. And you'll start to find that working on these mechanics, which you're forced to do by driving the knees high and also the arms, your running style will start to feel more effortless, so you can reach your top speed a lot quicker. Walk down to the bottom again, bring that heart rate down slightly, and then we're going into the final repetition all the way up to the top, driving those arms, driving those knees, and that's the session complete. So there we have it, a full training session to help you improve your football specific speed. I'd recommend trying this session out 1 to 2 times per week with a couple days of rest in between each to get maximum benefits. You're going to see a huge improvement in your acceleration, in your top speed, as well as your mechanics. So your running is going to feel a lot more effortless, so you can reach your top speed quicker. Just before I go, if you want to fuel yourself like the world's best athletes, make sure you check out the link in my description so you can get kickoff and use my link to get a discount off your order. If you also want to check out Rapido, which is my very own explosive speed training program, I'll leave a link to that in the description box below as well. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video.